What's up, welcome back to Nostalgia. Dave here with my top 10 K-pop songs of 2024. Yes, talking the best K-pop songs of the year. There's a lot to get into. There's a lot of contenders. I thought it was a pretty good year for K-pop, all things considered. Certainly a lot of ups and downs. There's controversies. Comes with the territory, as we know. I'll talk about that as I go. Gonna run through my list 10 to 1 here. I didn't repeat any artists, any groups for the sake of keeping the list more interesting and diverse. And of course, I'll also talk about some honorable mentions and songs that just missed the cut at the end as well. And of course, leave a comment. Let me know, what are your favorite K-pop songs of the year? What was the song you kept listening to the most? I want to know all of it. Please let me know. See the link below for the Nostalgia K-pop reviews playlist. Every song I'm going to talk about in the top 10 list, I reviewed the whole album or EP that song was a part of when it came out earlier in the year. So for my extended thoughts on any of these songs or projects, make sure you check that out as well. And of course, make sure you come back because we're going to be talking about a lot of K-pop in 2025, of course. So jumping in at number 10, I have Lost by RM. This was off RM's second solo album, Right Place, Wrong Person. Of course, this album was pre-recorded before RM did his military service alongside his BTS bandmates, and then this was held and then released this year when he was in the middle of his service. Same thing happened with the Jimin album this year. A nice surprise for sure. And the reason I have Lost on this list is simply that this is just unlike a lot of the other songs you get from K-pop. I think it's very introspective. It's honestly not super poppy, to be honest, but there is a kind of a fun, consistent drum tempo on this. But RM lyrically is talking about something that's been a consistent theme with these two solo albums from him, kind of speaking about loneliness and his self-worth and things of that nature. I think it's a pretty interesting song on an interesting album that I thought was overall up and down, but to me this is the clear highlight of the album. And of course, RM will be done with the military service next year. We're almost there at this point, so whether we get another RM solo album, I would not expect that anytime soon, but I think he certainly gave us two interesting pieces of work, and this is probably one of the best songs he's ever made. So coming in at number 9, I have Walk by NCT 127 off their album Walk from this past July. I am not the biggest NCT fan. I talk about this all the time because they release a lot of music, so it comes up, but I often struggle with the various NCT subunits and telling them apart, the musical identities and whatnot. Such a vast group with making so much music, it's hard for me to get in. NCT 127 is clearly the most interesting force within NCT to me, that I think they're the most consistent with the hit making. And a song like Walk to me is kind of like everything I want from NCT when they're humming, when they're doing their best. It just kind of got like their unique blend of pop melody mixed with hip hop. It's very upbeat, it's dancey. I love the energy on the track. I think it's really one of my favorite NCT 127 songs, bar none, because they're a big group. They're able to play off each other vocally, and I think that's where this song really shines, especially in the early verses where there's lots of little harmonies and different vocal inflections, different tones and stuff. This is, to me, ideal NCT. Coming in at number 8, I have Game Boy by Rose. This is the newest song on the list, and I know what you might be thinking. It's like, oh wow, Rose all the way down at number 8. She had one of the biggest, songs in the space of the year with APT featuring Bruno Mars. The album Rosie, which just came out earlier this month, big success commercially. Critically, I think it's quite successful as well. I liked a lot of songs on this. The reason I have this song lower is because I don't really view this album from Rose as a K-pop album, even if Rose obviously is a K-pop star. Blackpink, we know the drill. Rose made this album not with YG Entertainment, not with the Black Label. She made this album with Atlantic Records as a soloist. She made this album in the West with Western producers. The album is almost entirely English. It doesn't really have the K-pop DNA, even if Rose is a K-pop star. And I even think she would openly admit that she wants to not just be in that one box that she, rose to fame with. That being said, I still think about her as a K-pop artist, and I think these songs are great. You could pick a lot of these songs. I mean, 3 a.m., Toxic Till the End, APT, Game Boy, Drinks Her Coffee. A lot of great songs on that album that I liked. And I chose Game Boy because to me this is probably the best like pure pop songwriting on the album. I think it's incredibly catchy, incredibly earworm. The hook is great, and I think it's probably going to be a little bit underappreciated because it's not one of the big singles. It's not a music video song, it doesn't have the Bruno feature, So shout out Game Boy. You could pick a lot of songs off this album, and my way of getting beyond the fact that it's not really a K-pop project at all is just by having Rose a little further down the list. So shout out Rose. Number 7, I have Butterflies from Nayeon off her second solo album, NA. When Nayeon gave us her first solo album 2 years ago, I was quite impressed with it. I thought it was really compelling. Nayeon immediately standing out as a soloist, as an artist with her own musical identity apart from her work as a member of Twice. And I like that album a lot. I think there's some great highlights. Pop, no problem. And then when I saw that we're getting a second Nayeon solo album this year, I was like, oh, that's kind of fast. I wasn't necessarily expecting that. I thought they were going to be spreading the love a little bit with the other Twice members, but no, we get NA, and not only is it good once again, but it kind of like re-impresses you, re-establishes Nayeon as a compelling face, because I think she takes another artistic leap on this album, just in terms of having, I think, a bigger musical identity, a bigger personality with her solo music than she might do as a member of Twice, which has a different sonic palette. Now, the lead title track on that album, ABCD, I like quite a bit as well, but I actually think the second track on that album, Butterflies, to me is the biggest highlight of them all. I mean, there's just I think an awesome energy. Like she really does make pop bangers. I'm a big fan of her solo work. Number 6, I have Rush from Twice off their EP With Youth from the beginning of the year. Now, I know you might be thinking, I thought you had a rule not repeating artists, and that is true. But to me, Nayeon's solo work is very different from her work as a member of Twice, and I wanted to honor both because I think this song Rush is just an absolute gem from Twice. This is an album cut, not one of the singles, but I think it's just really catchy, has excellent melody, has some dancey moments, some moments where the tempo really picks up. I think it's a catchy song. I think there's some beautiful singing on it. The members all get to really kind of show out on this. I think it's a great Twice song. And I wanted to pick a Twice song this year, partly because I really like that song, but like Twice had such a banner year. Like, they're just incredible work ethic from this group. The With Youth EP, where Rush is from, that was the beginning of the year. Then they also had a Japanese album. They had the album Strategy, which just came out this month. Of course, the Nayeon solo I mentioned. You had the Chewy solo. You had the Misamu Subunit album. They're busy. They're all over the place, but I still think they're doing really good work. I considered Strategy, which I also think is one of the best songs Twice has ever made, especially because it's a little bit outside of their normal wheelhouse. But I wanted to stick to Rush, partly because I think it's a little bit under-celebrated as a song. Number 5, I have Something Ain't Right by XG. I think at this point, my top 5, these are all songs I have a lot of passion for. I think these are clearly the gems of K-pop this year. Now, of course, XG, not exclusively K-pop in the traditional definition. I talked about this in the review, but they promote their music as part of the K-pop system, so they're very K-pop adjacent. So we'll just leave it at that. I kind of went back and forth on what song to pick here because I also really love their song If You Know, You Know, and I think I switched it multiple times about which song I wanted to lead with, but I kind of think about them in a similar way, in the sense that, to me, this is just like the perfect like ethos of why XG is popular and a really exciting group, even despite the fact that they only given us a handful of songs really to this point over the last 2+ years. But Something Ain't Right, man, like, this is super up tempo. It's a dance beat. I think the pop melody on this song coming together on the chorus, excellent, just so catchy. And then you have these really upbeat rap verses, and we know how capable and high of a floor XG has rapping. It's the same thing with If You Know, You Know. Again, I think about these songs kind of in tandem. They're both singles to the last album. And yeah, I mean, I think this is just one of the most fun songs you can just kind of put on. It just keeps you going. It keeps you moving. I think it's great, and it's just a great showcase for what makes XG XG. Number 4, I have (G)I-DLE's Wife from the beginning of the year. Now, (G)I-DLE got a lot of plaudits and won some awards from their music from the beginning of the year, but that was actually with the lead single Super Lady. But to me, Wife accompanied by a amazing music video, is I think the true gem from them this year, because the music video, for one, just really, I think, stands out as kind of obviously the best K-pop music video of 2024, because it's I think it's very creative, and it's so atypical just in terms of conception, in terms of visual, in terms of the cinematography of it, in terms of like where the members stand and like what's going on. Like, I think it's one of the most creative dance videos we've gotten in a while. But the song also, I think, is just so awesome for its memeability, its meta commentary about, female independence and not needing to just be a wife, and the way it goes about that with a song that is beat, catchy as hell, funny, also kind of quirky. You think about Soyeon and her, creativity as one of the most impressive K-pop, creators, someone who actually writes her own songs and stuff. And I think, to me, this is one of the most impressive things that they've been involved with, because it's just message wise very much above just about anything else you get in traditional mainstream K-pop, and that's what makes it so cool. Number 3, I have Midas Touch by Kiss of Life. Now, you obviously cannot talk about 2024 K-pop without talking about Kiss of Life, and it's kind of been a miraculous rise for this group, which is not on a big 4 K-pop label, and they really exploded this year once Midas Touch took off. And of course, this continued with Sticky in the summer, and then of course later on with Get Loud and I-DLE in the fall. They had an amazing year. You could argue they had the best year of all. To me, they probably had the second best year of all K-pop groups. I'll get to who won in a bit. Question though is like, what is the actual best song they put out this year? Again, Midas Touch, Sticky, I-DLE. I think all those have a great case. All 3 of them, massive online, super viral, also excellent tracks all in their own regard. But to me, I think Midas Touch, maybe it's because it's the first song that really put them on the radar, and like that bias is like rooted in my like thinking about the group. But to me, this song really stands out because it kind of has all of the Kiss of Life, energy, and what makes that group itself on like full display in terms of the way the chorus, kind of drops in, the beat drops in the chorus, very almost like 2000s, like throwback and stuff. The kind of like awesome like energy and presence that Julie has as a K-pop rapper on full display. So like that perfect, to me, like mix of hip hop and pop into like what makes K-pop K-pop in the modern sense. That's what you get in a song like this, and it's also super on trend because it's taking like old school pop influences and bringing them in. It's a banger. I also was lucky enough to actually see them perform live this past fall, which was awesome. The first K-pop show I've ever seen, and they did not disappoint, and this song was a big highlight. I talked all about that show when I saw it, so check that video out if you missed it. Number 2, I have Like That by Baby Monster. I've wanted to love Baby Monster ever since they first debuted because I'm a big Blackpink fan. YG's next girl group was going to have my attention no matter what. And I've struggled with the overall output from Baby Monster, which I feel like is a bit cynical, a bit kind of beneath this clearly very talented group of women. Yet, when I got a song like that this past spring, that to me is like the perfect distillation of why this group is still compelling and why I'm continuing to be invested in their future output, because I think there can be great stuff in the future. Like That stands out because it's not this kind of mismatch, not well written enough song from YG like most of the other songs they give to the group is. Like That, of course, famously, infamously, was written by Charlie Puth. You can actually go on YouTube and hear the unreleased version of Charlie singing the song himself. And instead, you give the song to Baby Monster, and then you have some classic K-pop rapping from Baby Monster's 2 in-house rappers who are very capable, Ruka and Aespa, and this song just blossoms. And why does it blossom? Because Charlie Puth wrote it. He is one of our great pop songwriters. The melody on this is so catchy. It's simply just excellent pop songwriting. I find the song so catchy, so fun, and for a while I thought it would be my number 1 song of the year until what actually topped my list for me came out, and I was like, wait a minute, I think I have to drop Baby Monster down. But to me, like, this is the promise of what this group could be, and frankly what a lot of K-pop could be with a little bit of a different thinking. The other side of things, maybe you think that's a bit too Western, that's kind of getting away from what made K-pop K-pop. I certainly think there's truth in that as well. But sometimes taking like this kind of song structure convention and also just the excellent quality of the writing, and you put it on a song like this, it really stands out. Lastly, that leads us to number one, my best K-pop song of 2024, and that will be Whiplash by Aespa. Aespa actually made my top 5 artists of the year on my Spotify Wrapped because Aespa to me is the group that won K-pop 2024. I thought Kiss of Life had a great case, but to me Aespa is the clear winner of them all because release after release, it was just banger after banger. And I've been someone who's been quite critical of Aespa coming into this year. I've often thought that the musical output did not match the potential. Obviously, they're on SM. We know they can sing. We know they're talented. But to me, a lot of the songs have been quite underwhelming, since we got Next Level, back in the day. And they really, to me, leveled up without question this year. Think back to like the first release of the year, the first full-length album from the group, songs that could certainly make this list, like Supernova or Armageddon, huge bangers. You get the Japanese single Hot Mess later on, incredibly catchy, love that track. Then you had them all release solo music, capped off by Up, the Karina solo track, which is incredible. It's another song I considered for this list. And then they somehow find a way to top that year off with the Whiplash EP release in October. And that title track, Whiplash, is my number one song of the year because like this is a pure club track. Like the beat, the bass kind of flows through you. This BPM is awesome. And man, all 4 Aespa ladies, they shine on this song so much. I think it's so groovy. The beat and vocal mix is just right. I find this song so catchy, so easy to revisit. I bump it in the car all the time. It's not often you hear a K-pop song that is as electronically rooted as a song like Whiplash is. Of course, we hear electronic production all the time with K-pop. That's not new or novel. But Whiplash is truly a club joint, and it's also one that's executed on quite well. I just love this track so much. But again, I think more than anything, like Aespa won the year. There's a good 4 or 5 songs from them that you could have put on this list, but to me, Whiplash was the best of them all. So that's my top 10. I'll get into my honorable mentions in just a second. First, let's recap my top 10 K-pop songs of 2024. Number 10, RM's Lost. Number 9, NCT 127's Walk. Number 8, Rosé's Game Boy. Number 7, Nayeon's Butterflies. Number 6, Twice's Rush. Number 5, XG's Something Ain't Right. Number 4, G-Idol's Wife. Number 3, Kiss of Life's Midas Touch. Number 2, Baby Monster's Like That. And number 1, my best K-pop song of 2024, Aespa's Whiplash. Let me know, though, what were your favorite K-pop songs of the year? What would your top 10 be? So yeah, in terms of honorable mentions, let's see here. So Tomorrow Togethers, I'll See You There Tomorrow. I had that on the list for a long time. I ultimately moved them off, but I thought that song was super groovy. I mentioned some of the other songs from the same groups that I didn't pick. So like Aespa, I also love Supernova, Armageddon, Hot Mess, Karina's Up, Kiss of Life, I loved Igloo, Shadow Get Loud as well, Rosé, APT, Toxic Till the End, 3am, Twice, Strategy. I want to shout out I for Ice Queen, which I liked quite a bit, probably one of my favorite songs they put out to this point. I mentioned If You Know You Know for XG. I want to shout out Mantra from Jenny. And then Stray Kids, Chick Chick Boom, I Like It, some good songs. Stray Kids didn't make the list this year, but they did make the list last year. I had S-Class number 1 last year. I expect them to be back soon. Ultimately, kind of a quieter year for K-pop men. My list is 8 to 2 women, and that's really just because of, what we got. I think TXT was solid this year, but kind of unspectacular. Nothing rising up. Same thing with ENHYPEN. I didn't think this was their strongest year. In terms of the BTS solo stuff, of course, I represented RM, the Jimin album, despite several massive tracks on that album, we're talking billion stream songs, didn't really land with me. And then, of course, someone who's also been a staple on my list before would be New Jeans, who I just don't think had their best year musically, and that's before we talk about all the controversy and negativity that's unfortunately happened with the group. But like, they released 4 songs this year, How Sweet didn't really land for me. I think the best songs they put out were Right Now and Supernatural, kind of bringing in New Jack Swing as like a new musical influence apart from their already pretty consistent, throwback, 2000s vibe that they've been doing. But to me, those songs just kind of pale in comparison to the amazing highs they've had with all their music to this point. And I just really didn't have the passion to put them on the list this year. Another group that I like quite a bit, but didn't really make the cut for me this year was Le Seraphim. Between Easy and Crazy, I just didn't really have a song that I liked as much as the other songs that I did pick. All in all, I listened to over 50 K-pop releases this year, the most new K-pop music I've ever listened to. Gonna keep that going next year. I really do enjoy following the genre, in part because it moves so quickly. Groups will have multiple releases in a given year, and it's just so fun how quickly it moves. Now, part of that can be unfulfilling at times because K-pop traditionally takes the easy way out more often than not, releasing short EPs more frequently and not really giving us full artistic albums. Looking at my list, top 10 songs here, only 3 of those songs are actually on like full-length albums. Most of these things we're talking under 30 minutes. So the projects are often short, and even if they don't often hit the full mark as like artistic bodies of work, the genre moves so fast they're always going to get something new. I think it's a real fun thing to follow these days. And of course, as a fan of pop music, as a fan of rap music, the two main things I follow, K-pop combines the two. But yeah, let me know again, what'd you think of this list? What would your list be? Of course, make sure you come back, see the links below for my top 10 songs, top 10 albums of 2024. That's, of course, across all genres. Also going to be doing that for movies and TV for year end. See the K-pop reviews playlist below if you missed anything earlier in the year. And make sure you come back next year because we're going to keep it going.